Get the introductions out of the way quick. Okay. So good morning, everyone from Microsoft Higher Ed. My name is Bill Pauly. I'm Executive Vice President of of ComAround here in the Americas. And I'm joined today by a couple of members of our team, Magnus Holmquist, our CEO and founder, Jenny Hepler, who runs our higher educational vertical for ComAround in partnership with both Microsoft as well as other solution providers in the marketplace like Cherwell, ServiceNow, Dynamics CRM, and a number of other companies that we integrate to. And also Brent Kellogg, who is in charge of our client success and partner management programs. So it's our pleasure to be on the phone with you today. Per my email to the team, we really want to both stay focused and give you the most value we can in this 20-minute recording. So we're going to begin today by the agenda. We're going to talk really having worked at Microsoft, I know you guys are very interested in sort of what's in it for the client, what's in it for Microsoft in terms of technology pull-through, what kind of positioning can we help you with using Microsoft to keep the competition out of accounts and to empower you to bring in new technologies. So we're going to start off today's presentation by giving you an overview of one of our clients that shows the power of some of the Microsoft technologies in use today. And that client is the University of Stockholm. And it gives me pleasure for this part of the presentation to introduce Jenny Hepler, who's in charge of our vertical initiative here in the States for higher education. So Jenny, why don't you take it from here?
Great, thanks, Bill. So I'd like to start actually by showing you this quick overview of a case study of Stockholm University. We're actually going to send this to you after the presentation so that you can review it in more detail. But this represents Stockholm University's priorities, their challenges that they faced, and their solution. So your customers might be a little bit different. They all have their own needs. So we'll work with you to understand your specific university's priorities and to create a plan of attack for addressing each of them. So you can look at this in a little bit more detail when we send you a PDF copy. But what I'd really like to do is to spend time in Stockholm University's actual live portal. So let me just share my screen. Okay. So this is what students see when they log in to their portal. They can access the portal through their laptop, tablet, or phone via an app, which is really popular for college students. We get quite a lot of usage out of the app there. They can quickly find an answer to their question, and most of the times students can come in and find the answer without even searching. They can search in multiple languages. A lot of times students will have the same questions if they're starting at the beginning of the semester, for example. So they'll see a lot of those questions actually here in the recommended section or the most popular article section. So for example, if a student would need to connect to the wireless network, they might need to do this at 2 a.m. and they don't want to rely on calling a service desk. So they can actually find their answer here very quickly. Now, if they would need to search, they can do so here with the search feature in the search bar and do a complete, intelligent, and intuitive search, which allows them filters and also different search paths as well. What I'm going to do now is go into the reporting and the analytics suite. So this is actually from the administrator side and what the administrators will see. Just loading the dashboard now. This dashboard that's coming up will look a little bit familiar. This is where you can see the big picture and really gain valuable insight into what the user's needs are and also how the knowledge is being used. So there are a few tabs. We have here the main dashboard, but let's go to the Views tab. I'm actually going to change the date range here for a year. This shows you a little bit more insight into, especially with colleges and universities. So on this tab with the views, you can see the articles and how many times they've been viewed. So for example, ordering a university card online, you know how important this card is for students. They can't really do much without it. So here you can see that in a year, the article received almost 15,000 views. So that's a lot of calls that didn't come to the service desk for an article that took about a half an hour to write because the student was able to actually order the card themselves. Now this also allows the service desk more time for complex issues instead of dealing with the redundant calls such as lost passwords, connecting to the wireless network, which you can see are actually, these are the top 3 articles that are viewed. But these articles are also extremely valuable to the service desk. For example, like Bill mentioned, we have the University of Oklahoma as one of our customers. They actually have students running their service desk. So they face challenges with new ones coming and going with the start of each year or each semester. But from day one, with a knowledge base like this, they have access to the complete knowledge base in order to answer the calls they're receiving with very little training time. Now, if we go to the Votes tab, this will show you the overall ratings for your content. So how many thumbs up, how many thumbs down articles are receiving. This is important really to monitor the quality of the content being created. We have the Visits tab. Here it shows you logins over a specific period of time and any trends. So in higher ed, you're certainly going to see spikes at the beginning of the semesters. If we go to the Searches tab, this provides you a lot of information. This will allow you to see what the users are searching for. Now it highlights any knowledge gaps where users might not be finding their answers, and also insight into what they are searching for. So what's important for them? An alarm can also be set here to go off within the portal. So if users are searching for knowledge and they're not finding answers or getting any hits to their search, so this alarm allows you never have to worry about lack of up-to-date content. With this automation, articles are automatically created in the portal to ensure a complete knowledge base. And finally, we have the Heroes tab. What this shows is who is creating content, how much are they creating, and more importantly, how is it being used? So is the content that the service desk creating relevant? So quality is really more important than quantity, especially with knowledge management. A great example of that is here. Now, this is a live portal, so these are actual numbers. You can see that Daniel created 10 articles last year. Now, those 10 articles might not seem like a lot, but those received almost 70,000 views. So those 10 articles that he created were certainly focused and what the users were looking for. So that's an overview of the actual analytics and reporting suite within the portal. What I'm going to do now is turn it over to Brent, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the reporting and analytics, and Bill is going to talk to you next about more of the challenges I think that universities are facing and how we can resolve those.
Thank you, Jenny. And for the purpose of, if it looks familiar, it is entirely based on Microsoft technology and Power BI. Our search is Azure Search with algorithms that we've defined around the search that helps people get the knowledge better through filters and attributes and metadata. But we'll talk a little bit about, some of the challenges we see at Pittsburgh and Oklahoma and Stockholm real briefly, and then we'll go into the actual technology behind the scenes. What we're finding, and I'm sure you're seeing as well, is budget is at a premium in universities. Oklahoma was going through serious financial crisis and needed to do more with less. And when it comes to support of the registrar's office or the actual faculty population or administrative population or exposing knowledge to alumni for marketing and campaigns, all of this requires knowledge management. So we really are sort of a university or higher ed wide type of knowledge approach. Jenny showed you some student population information, but certainly we can segment that as well. So budgets are one concern. Let's talk a couple more. We're seeing, as an example, the knowledge being everywhere. We believe we're an enterprise knowledge solution for universities. Pittsburgh is starting out with their finance organization. So they want to make sure that across the university, all of the policies and procedures for university finance and from the finance office are followed. So we're following a land and expand type of policy there. But our plan is to roll it out in a similar way to what Stockholm is using it for. But as you can see, there's lots of organizations within a university, and many times the only time they talk to each other is at Christmas parties. So we want to bridge that gap and start sharing knowledge more effectively. And never is there a more dynamic population than universities. We touched upon the population that we serve, usually high tech, youth culture, very phone oriented, very mobile oriented, very cultural. I need to know it now. I don't need to see 500 search results. I need to know the answer when I need it. So that's where ComAround knowledge is very concise. The search is very fine-tuned to understand the relevance. So there is a high expectation for a consumer type experience, whether you're applying for financial aid or putting an application in, or you're a student finding ways to connect to the internet or get a new card. The other aspect is the market's changing in universities. All across the world now, companies, universities are, if you can go to the next one, Brent, are anticipating global populations. So there's online campuses around the world that require some real speaking the language of your proposed customer. And in this case, it could be an international student that speaks English as a secondary language, where ComAround, as an example, uses Bing Translate in a professional way to automatically allow customers to create articles in English and auto-translate them in a variety of languages supported by Bing Translate. So a huge opportunity there to shorten the cycle in terms of servicing that universal population. And last but not least, we know we're talking about things like bots and virtual agents and Lewis and cognitive learning and predictive knowledge. And what Gartner is saying as an example is that 95% or more of artificial intelligence programs will fail without companies addressing their knowledge management foundation and getting that knowledge, and most importantly, the data by which users find successful experiences are stored somewhere that artificial intelligence can access. And the ComAround system stores every click, every view, so that we can automatically map where the traffic patterns are for successful interactions. And of course, enable Microsoft and your teams to start positioning these new technologies with the proper underpinnings of knowledge underneath. So that's really a quick overview. We realize that we need to do more survey work with you. We need to do more exploration of what the top priorities are in the higher ed market from your perspective, so that we position the Microsoft priorities with the customer priorities with the challenges that we can help you meet at those customer organizations. So the next part of our presentation, as we finish up here in the next 10 minutes, is really I'd like to introduce my colleague Brent Kellogg, who'll go over what's in it for Microsoft, what kinds of technologies, what kinds of things we're doing to help you position Microsoft technologies and pull through revenue in the areas of Azure and other areas. And just as a lead into that, ComAround as a company has over 250 worldwide clients. All of them happen to be in Azure. So we do not offer an on-premise, we do not offer alternatives. We offer a complete Microsoft stack with all of our clients. The only option is to be in Azure. So Brent, why don't you take over?
All right, Bill, thanks so much. So yeah, kind of to open this up, I thought it'd be valuable to just take a look at the Microsoft components that really comprise the bulk of our platform. And I know it's really based on Azure. Everything from how we're hosted to our database to the API manager, really everything is based on Microsoft technologies. And the bottom line here is that every click, every visit, every search by our 250 customers is driving Azure consumption. And really, in addition to the platform itself, we've also done integrations into other things, Office 365, Teams, and Word, and those other Microsoft products that also drives Azure consumption, and I'll touch on some of that here in a second. But yeah, almost 100% based on Microsoft. A few of the components, Azure Search, and I got to tell you, this is one that really wows every time. The power of this relative to our competitors in the market, this is just outstanding, and really is head and shoulders above most of the other search capabilities that KM platforms have out there. We have video creation, creating video in just seconds and adding that into your knowledge base content for rich media. Taking Word documentation, this is a big one. Companies have legacy Word documentation, and it's very hard to incorporate into a knowledge base. We have a utility that can bring that in and create knowledge base content with just a click, including folders and images and all of the contents of those Word docs, so very powerful. Mobile access, which is extremely relevant, especially with university clients and students that want to access through mobile applications and tablets. Windows 10, another integration we've done. So you can access the knowledge base directly from a Windows 10 app, as well as through Teams. Search for knowledge through Teams. Access the entire ComAround knowledge application through Teams. So some pretty exciting stuff there. And really to your point earlier, Bill, Power BI, and I'll get into more depth on our thoughts and approach regarding capture of granular data, but we utilize Power BI. Jenny showed you some of our standard reporting there. And lastly, KCS. We're KCS v6 verified, one of the few in the world, and that's part of our platform, part of what we're bringing to market as well. Really, this concept of an integrated customer experience I want to highlight, and the ties that it has into Microsoft. Again, it's into Teams and into Office 365 and into Windows 10, and so there's just a lot of ways that we've tied into other Microsoft products to provide really an integrated and cohesive experience in terms of access to knowledge through those applications, which is pretty empowering for our users as well. In terms of business intelligence, we see this as a core differentiator. Bill mentioned this, but we collect data at an extremely granular level. Every click, every search, every path that users take through the knowledge base is captured. And an important piece here, on top of the fact that it provides great insight and reporting today, it also provides the foundation forward-looking as companies are going to start deploying AI and bots and machine learning, because that granularity of data in the system is going to be critical for them to understand usage and to be able to be more accurate and powerful. Another quick point here as well is the ability to plug in to our database so that you can use Power BI and Tableau and other analytics platforms to extend the view of ComAround's data across the rest of the enterprise. So aggregate it and get an enterprise-wide view as well. And of course, this is all based on Power BI, which we rely on for our analytics platform. And it's our clients are extremely happy about this because so many of them are standardizing on this powerful application as well. And as we move forward, this is kind of a look into what's next. This is also driven by Azure, this type of information and reporting. But things that we're looking to as next steps is journey mapping and paths to knowledge. What are the sequences of articles that users are looking at and so forth. And again, in addition to providing insight and visibility for optimization of the content of the knowledge base, it's also going to provide critical information for bots and AI in the future to really enhance the user experience and guiding them to the right information. And most of our clients don't gather data at the granular level that we do. So again, core differentiator that we captured at that level, and that we're using Power BI as our analytics platform. I think 1 + 1 really equals 4 here. Additionally, we're able to provide, or will be able to provide, insight into operating systems and browser versions and geo as far as where customers are accessing and coming into the knowledge base from. as well as some visual insights. Where is the volume originating from? I think this could be very applicable in terms of university clients with satellite university locations, as well as virtual learning, where they're having students from all over the world. And so being able to get insight into where support requests are coming from, the proximity of those students that are accessing the knowledge base, I think will be another very important piece of information. And again, this is forward looking into some of the capabilities that we're looking to add here in the near term, and all powered by Microsoft. I think with that, I'll turn it back over to Bill for a call to action. So back to you.
Yeah, thanks very much. Again, when we look at the higher ed market here, we see a tremendous white space in terms of all the challenges that we mentioned earlier. And I think one of the things that's most important is universities are risk averse, they're budget constrained, and they want to, at the same time, to keep up with the technology to provide the students the kind of experience they have in today's world. So the marketplace we're dealing with, and the client, so to speak, is one that's advanced, and the universities are expected to provide that advanced capability. So one of the call to action certainly is to understand who in the organization is facing what pain points, and how we can get introductions into these target accounts with the understanding of working closely with you and the teams in the field to really understand sort of who the decision makers are, what their priorities are, what we need to do to deliver a solution together. We understand that universities aren't necessarily as fast as corporate type accounts, but we believe, if you noticed in one of the Power BI slides, the return on investment that was listed on the left of one of the dashboards, whenever a call is not sent to the service desk or escalated to a level 2 or level 3 personnel, it means dollar savings. And we believe that the calls that are coming in are increasing as the technology rollouts and as university architectures are getting more complex, whether it be emails or whether it be cards or whether it be connections to the web or courseware or signing up for or dropping, adding, those kinds of things. We understand the priorities, and we need a plan of attack that's going to deliver almost immediate ROI in the case of universities and higher ed. And we have some great case studies and stories that we can work with you on to accelerate not only the work that the client is doing, but position that ROI to be invested back into Microsoft technologies. And of course, delivering the right solution. And that involves, surveying, working with Microsoft in terms of joint marketing to your clients, understanding what the key priorities are in the organization and where ComAround has an opportunity to help Microsoft push their initiatives, and more importantly as well, where we don't. But I think as a company, we're very committed to the knowledge management space. It's our only business. Knowledge-centered service is a methodology that's been sweeping corporate accounts, and it's moving into the university community as a methodology for best practice around knowledge. And as Brent mentioned, it's going to be very difficult to position artificial intelligence and new tools without real intelligence. So that's the end of our presentation, but wanted to, I guess, looks like some folks have dropped off, but we'd like to open it up for discussion. And Rich, have these hit some of the points that you were interested in?
Yeah, this is Bill. You can probably stop recording now, but I've got one question, and yeah, this kind of hit